Women of Reddit. What's your worst nice guy story? Story 1. I was at a Halloween party in the college with my boyfriend and friends. They were getting drinks, so I was standing by myself for a few minutes and a guy came over and started talking to me. I chatted with him and put in that I was with my boyfriend. He said, "You have a boyfriend, why did you even go out then?" and left. Like he expects every girl out partying to be single and available for him. Story 2. The one that was the most upsetting was a guy who had been my friend for years, who I was close to and confided in, telling me my boyfriend at the time had cheated on me. I wanted to confront the boyfriend and this friend kept dissuading me, telling me to just drop contact with him, and trying to comfort me with physical contact. Obviously, I still confronted my boyfriend. He said no such thing happened. And it turned out my friend had made it all up. Story 3. I went on a first date with a guy for coffee. It wasn't terrible, but it was obvious that we didn't really click that well. He did the typical nice guy stuff during the date where he talked about how he was different from other guys, knew how to treat a woman, some talking down on gym bros, etc. I ended the date pretty quickly as I wasn't really feeling it, and had just gotten off of a midnight shift, so it was past my bedtime. He insisted on walking me to my car and opening the door for me. Fine, whatever. Then he hugged me, and when we went to break apart, he tried kissing me. I turned my face and he immediately got agitated, blocked me from entering my car and said, "What? No kiss." I'm a pretty easygoing and tolerant person, but that was the first time something like that had ever happened, and I immediately felt a slight bit of fear, as this very big guy was blocking my car. I immediately put on my super serious face and said, "Sorry. I really need to be getting home now," and luckily he moved. Took a bit of a break from dating after that. Story 4. This actually just happened recently. My good friend from college and I, along with other friends from our program, went out to a bar to celebrate finishing our degree. He kept feeding me shots, but I figured everyone just wanted to be drunk and have a good time. The night is coming to an end and I'm quite incapacitated. My good friend frantically approaches me, saying he had just seen a guy put something in my drink, which I had just finished. He told me that I would soon be unconscious and that it was best that he take me back to his apartment so he could take care of me. Being heavily drunk and also quite scared, I agreed and he helped me back to his apartment. After making me something to eat and giving me some water, we set up camp for the night on his couch. He put on a movie and he said he would sit and watch me sleep to make sure I didn't throw up or anything. As I started to doze off, he started touching me, first on my feet and knees and then my upper thigh. I confronted him about it and he said after everything he had done he felt he deserved compensation. I laughed it off, but after he tried to make a move again I got angry and we began fighting. He exposed to me that no one had put anything in my drink and it was all a ploy to allow him to make his move. After some more arguing, he decided it was best I left, and he kicked me out of his apartment at 3 a.m. while I was still considerably drunk. Story 5. I met him at a party, gave him a ride home and asked for my number. We went on one date and texted for a week. Then Saturday morning, I woke up to 50 plus texts that started with asking what I was doing. I was sleeping because I was working in the mornings and went all the way up to, I should just kill myself since no one wants to talk to me. I told him that was unacceptable as I had already told him I worked Saturday morning, but even if I hadn't there was no reason to text me over 50 times. If I'm not answering, I'm not answering. He whined about being so nice, and how good he was to me, but I end it with him. Story 6. I'm a girl, but this story is about my husband and how he met a nice guy. A few years before I met my husband, he decided to go to a party. He gets there and some random girl walks up to him and says, "You're cute," and kisses him. This amused him, so he started chatting with her. While chatting, he notices a very angry, short man standing next to her. The man is scowling at my husband and it's making him uncomfortable. He can tell the guy is pissed at the attention girl is giving him, and it's just not worth it, so he stops talking to the random girl, turns away, and starts walking to another room. It's at this point husband feels the short man punching him in the back. When he turns around, the short man is running away and actually runs out of the house and never returns to the party. My husband laughs it off, cause it wasn't even a hard punch. But then somebody notices that my husband is bleeding, and there is a hole in his shirt. The short dude hadn't punched him, he stabbed him. The random girl saw this all go down and was pretty mortified. Turns out the short dude was obsessed with her, they were best friends, and he accompanied her everywhere. Story 7. I'm a guy, but I have a gay friend who would always try to give me massages to relax me, and then slowly work his way to other areas. He tries to contact me all the time to hang out and give me a place to chill. Story 8. I had a date with a guy the first met through a dating app. When he found out that I was at the time writing erotica for a living, he put his hand very gently on mine and asked, with all the sincerity in the world, "Who hurt you?" No one hurt me, dude. I got paid money to write stories about people dicking each other, and I had a whale of a time. He absolutely would not believe that I enjoyed my job and that I wasn't lashing out as a result of some obvious sexual trauma I'd had in my past that he could somehow save me from. God only knows how actual sex workers cope on dates if that's a common approach to people who aren't terrified to openly discuss penises. Story 9. I met a guy one night after a night out. Exchanged numbers, he was handsome and seemed normal. We met for dinner, and I was surprised when he brought flowers and a bottle of wine, as it was our first date and we knew nothing about each other yet. Throughout dinner, I noticed that he would ask questions, but not listen to my answers. He seemed in his own world as if he was preparing his next question very robotic. He mentioned that his sister was out of town and he was house sitting for her in the building a few blocks away. Even though he weirded me out a bit, I was young and still felt like things were going fairly well. Anyways, when we left, he was walking me to my car. I was wearing heels and felt comfortable holding onto the crook of his arm for support as we walked. As we walked, he tried to persuade me to come into the building where he was supposedly house sitting. I kept saying, no, I have to get up early, etc. When we got next to the building, he tightens his grip on me and said, "What's your problem?" His facade dropped and he looked scary and angry. "I bought you flowers, I brought wine, I paid for dinner," as if he was checking off ABC is supposed to equal D. Then he was pulling me towards the door and twisting my arm. I pulled away from him and literally ran to my car and pulled off. I have no doubt he would have army, or even worse, I hadn't run. Story 10. I was sitting at the bar by myself and this guy in a fedora came up to me and we just start talking. He seems okay. We got into some casual conversation, and then he starts talking about how he thinks girls should be nice to him if he does something nice for them. Like open the door for them or buy them a drink. I tried for a solid half hour to get him to understand that a girl was not going to fall head over heels for someone who thought that opening the door for them meant that they were a knight in shining armor. I tried very hard, but he just would keep talking over me. Hey, if you like the video so far, consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video for more. Story 11. A guy at a bar bought me a drink, even though I really tried to not accept it, and he asked me if I was single. I told him that I was dating someone and he took the drink back and called me an ugly whore. Story 12. Right after high school, a guy came out of the woodwork and told me that he had a crush on me. I thought it was nice, but I just did not like him. He was always buying me presents and dropping them off at my mom's house. I always said thanks but told him I just wasn't interested. We had the same group of friends, so I would see him from time to time. When I would see him, he would pull me aside and politely ask me to go on a date with him. I told him that I just didn't see him that way. One day, I ran into him at the store and he asked me out again. I went on this long rant about how I was going off to college and I didn't want to be tied down. He ended up asking me out again. I ended up walking away. He came up behind me and pushed me. He has this evil look in his eye, and I ran to my car and called my mom. He ended up messaging me a couple of days later and telling me that he was just mad because God told him I was the one he was going to marry. I blocked him on all social media and my phone. He still managed to get my new address when I moved off to college, and one time he drove almost an hour to my apartment. He knocked on my door and he handed me a bag of my favorite candy. I flipped out like I should have done many times before, and I threatened to call the cops and get a restraining order. I've seen him once in the last 7 years with his wife and new baby. I hope he has changed. Story 13. An ordinary guy here. Here's my reverse nice guy story. I get out of work, it's fucking cold outside. I stop and get a hot chocolate from a walk-up vendor. I am vaguely aware that someone is in line behind me, and I'm feeling charitable. I pay for 2, tell the guy I'm paying for the person behind me, and please tell them to pay it forward. Take my chocolate, pay, walk away and don't look back. I never even glanced at the person behind me. Walk to the corner and I hear someone yelling. Excuse me, I ignore it because it's a city and I don't respond to yelling. This woman rushes up and tells me that she's flattered I'd buy her a hot chocolate, but she really and truly could not accept, and goes on about how she has a boyfriend. I say, just pay it forward. I start to cross the street walking away from her. She follows, telling me how serious she is with her boyfriend and they are practically engaged, and how it would be weird for him if she tells him she let some guy buy her a drink. This actually went on for around a half block. Then I told her that she didn't have to drink her hot chocolate. Then I quickly ducked down the stairs to a subway station. You can share your own story down in the comment below, and thanks for watching the video.